So I was going to make an emergency Operation Rescue My Reading Year TBR because I've had so much bad luck with books this year because I keep picking up books that I see recommended on the internet somewhere and that promise to be great, witty, well-written entertainment, and then they inevitably aren't. They are just generic literary fast food, and nobody actually feels refreshed and nourished after consuming that kind of food. And yet we keep coming back, don't we? And so, in a completely expected turn of events, this week I downloaded a bunch of holiday novels, novellas, and short stories, and I also had a look at what I still had on my Kindle from previous years. And because the first Advent weekend is coming up and a holiday TBR is probably more interesting to you, I'm not doing my highbrow, unlikely to be disappointing pile of possibilities now, but my holiday pile of possibilities. So here we go. I'm starting with a couple of books that I have collected for an ironic Christmas Eve reading marathon. I got them for free or as good as. The first one is Christmas at the Buddenbrooks by Thomas Mann. This is actually an excerpt from Thomas Mann's epic family saga, The Buddenbrooks, which I believe is his most popular work in the German-speaking world, whereas internationally it seems like The Magic Mountain is more popular and more well-known. So this is a very short excerpt. Most of it, or like 1/4 of it, is actually recipes for meals that are mentioned in the text, and they are all completely awful. But with that, I think I'm going to be able to say that yes, I have in fact read The Buddenbrooks by Thomas Mann. And my second book is another German one, Christmas in the Wild West by Karl. Karl wrote a bunch of Western novels in the second half of the 19th century, and he was sympathetic to the plight of the Native Americans and their fight for what was left of their land. But nevertheless, his novels are, well, cliched isn't quite the right word. It's more like they are Western fantasies more than historical novels, and they all suffer from white saviorism. But like I said at the beginning, this is going to be an ironic Christmas reading evening, and there's probably no better book for that than this one. And my third and last book for that evening is All Through the Night by Suzanne Brockman, which I think is book 11 in her Troubleshooter series, which is a series of romantic suspense / action novels in a military and or FBI context, and it features a huge cast of characters and couples. It's not really my thing, but this sounds just like the right kind of cheesy for an ironic Christmas reading marathon, because it's set at Christmas, and one of her established couples are about to marry, FBI agent Jules Cassidy and Hollywood heartthrob Robin Chadwick. And then there's some kind of action drama going on the side as well. So yeah, I'm probably going to skim read this, to be honest. If you are still with me at this point, the rest are all romance novels, novellas, and short stories that genuinely sound delightful and that I have high hopes for. They are all male-male romances because I just can't with the kind of woman characters that the kind of women write who write male-female romance novels. Sorry, not sorry. Goldilocks and the Bear by Clare London is a short story about a barista, the Goldilocks character, who is trying to find the perfect Christmas tree for his coffee shop, but the Christmas tree vendor, the bear character, keeps delivering the wrong size. A Wealth of Unsaid Words by Risa Cooper is a novella with a found family situation in which the protagonist comes home and spends Christmas with the family who practically raised him, and there is a romance developing between him and their son, who used to be his best friend growing up. I've read a negative review of this on Amazon, I think, which complained about how much went unsaid in this novella and was only hinted at, which it's that kind of dumb review that is the best kind of advertisement for the book. The Holiday Spirit by Carole Cummings is another shorty, and it's set in a holiday land like The Nightmare Before Christmas, only there's just one bureau for all the holidays, I think. It sounds cute and like a lot of fun. Snowman with Benefits is another shorty, which I only bought because it is written by Marshall Thornton, who wrote the Nick Nowak mysteries, Boys Town, etc., which are set in Boys Town in Chicago and are gritty crime novels. And now this. I just had to know how this turned out. And Sing for the Coming of the Longest Night by Katherine, Fabian and Iona Datt Sharma. Sorry, I still don't know if she's called Iona like the island or Iona. Still haven't found out. But I actually started this novella last year and gave up on it because in its center is a polyamorous relationship, and while I generally very much like the idea of polyamory, this relationship contained an aspect which is one of my main problems that I have with, let's say, the phenotypes of polyamory that actually exist in the world. So I wasn't very keen on reading about it, but I'm going to give it another chance because I've loved Iona Datt Sharma's work before. In this, two women grudgingly band together to find their missing boyfriend, and I think they develop a friendship or even a relationship in the process. And there's a very strong magical aspect to it, and it's midwinter magic. It sounds delightful. Winter Masquerade by Kevin Klehr isn't so much a romance as a love story, or a story about love. The protagonist has a fever dream in which he has to navigate a magical revelry on a cruise ship on a chocolate sea, I think. And in the process, he learns some truth about himself and his relationship. Shrewd Angel by Anyta Sunday is set in New Zealand and therefore in summer. The protagonist has been kicked out of his band and has to weasel himself into their good graces again. And altogether, the description of this novel sounds a lot like the books in Anyta Sunday's Signs of Love series, which typically feature a disaster twink and a couple in which one or even both parties are completely oblivious of their own feelings and or that of the other one. And they are just so cute and fun and just a joy to read. Not Over Yet by Barbara Ellsberg is set on New Year's Eve, or the 7th day of Christmas, on which two grumpy guys who are not in the mood for the festivities are thrown together by chance, and one of them, I think, realizes that the other one is even grumpier than him and could actually do with some holiday cheer. They sound like my kind of guys, to be honest. And lastly, Whiteout by Elyse Springer, which is an amnesia story. This is apparently a very common trope, but I've never read an amnesia story, at least not an amnesia romance. This has a cityscape, New York, I guess, on the cover, but at least its main storyline is actually set in Colorado, where the protagonist wakes up in a cabin with another man, and he has no recollection of who he is and how he got there and what his relationship is to the other man. So this is all the cheesy holiday fluff that I plan to read this season, starting this weekend. If you have more recommendations for me for holiday novels that you think I might like based on what I showed you in this video, then please do leave all your recommendations in the comments. I'm always open for more. If not for this season, then maybe for next year. And I hope you found some inspiration here as well. I'll see you very soon, guys. Have a nice first Advent weekend. Bye.